You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the Morning.
Peace to the family. It is the Hood Mystic representing www.hoodmystic.com. Hopefully everybody is doing well. The title of this video is going to be Breakdown to Breakthrough. Of course, we'll be referencing Mercury going direct, some sun transits, some moon transits. You know how we do, man. Sidereal all day, the real and sidereal. First things first, let's pay some bills. Shadow work class starts June 26th. About to do this video, start working on that course. Chakra Nova available, columbianexchange.com. Talk about that. Please stay tuned for this whole video. I'll share some testimonials in reference to Chakra Nova, because ultimately the book is just a book. The ability to tune in and tap into your chakras is your personal responsibility. I'm just giving you guys the manual. So the main ideas that we want to stick with today, because we're not going to be here for a long time. We're going to be here for a great time, a good time, a wonderful time. Shout out to your mama and them. Shout out to your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your grandma, your grandpa, your sons, your daughters, your goddaughters, your godsons, and you know, all points in between. Much love from my family to yours. I really want to pass along this important message to the collective in referencing to your time and the value that you put on it. Some of us value our time such as $10 for an hour. Some people value their time up to $20 an hour. But on the Hood Mystic channel, we're doing $1,000 an hour time value. Right? We're creating the value for our time and we're putting it on it. Shout out to Sabine. Tell me the currency in Denmark, because we're going to do the converter, and whatever $1,000 is an hour in American, we're going to do the Denmark currency. Shout out to my people in Mexico. What's the correspondence for peso? Okay, we are going to put an exorbitant amount of time on our hours, because why the hell are you putting the low amount of value? This is $20, $50, $100. Fuck all that. $1,000 an hour challenge, right? Maybe it hasn't manifested for you, but setting that intention in this moon energy as we kind of move forward into what we could expect. Got an upcoming full moon. Definitely will be putting a video more closer towards the full moon in reference to the full moon energy. But today, Danish currency is the crowns or Kronos, right? It's tied into the time, is tied in to the currency. So yes, however many crowns it's going to take to get 1,000 crowns an hour, that's what we're moving into. We're moving into a realm of prosperity. We're moving into a realm of abundance. And it's simply because we're having the conversations with self, family. We're not having conversation with the gurus. We're not having conversations with the elders. We're not having conversations with nobody but the self. You know why? Because Mercury is going direct. The sun is transiting into sidereal Gemini. And of course, we have to break down to have a full breakthrough. And ultimately, when you value your time and you value your energy, you move into the realms of emotions. Now, let me tell you one thing, and one thing is for sure, and one thing is for certain. Emotions are more powerful than your logic. All of the fancy smancy stuff that you know, can it amount to you getting some money? Meaning that the knowledge that I had for my books wasn't going to create the books. It was the emotional frequency of even doing that. Because that's a difficult process to write a long form nonfiction book. And the dedication has to be an emotional thing. Can't be a really logical thing, because the logic says that I shouldn't be able to write a book. So in reference to the conversations that you have with your soul, I need you guys to listen to me and tap in. In reference to the conversations that you have with your soul, what new shit are they dropping on you? And what efforts and energies and directions are you going to take to align with the new shit that your soul is dropping upon your mental? And this is a very emotional process. This is a very understanding energy. This is not a very logical energy, because what is logic? Just information that we don't know, that we agreed upon, that we can't absolutely prove. It's just the only thing that we can prove is that other people agree with us. So when we get into the realms of Gemini, we've been gearing up for this. If you've been tuned in and tapped into my channel, if you have not been, we have been gearing up for the sun transiting into sidereal Gemini, because I'm all for the shits and giggles. I'm all for having the conversations with self and looking like the crazy person. Maybe you're not, but this is the purpose for these conversations. This is the purpose for these times, because when you look at this world, correct me if I'm wrong, is this world crazy, or is this world sane and orderly and put together? No, I'll answer that for you. The world is crazy. So what does your crazy look like in reference to aligning with the signs and the times and the energies? But of course, one of the reasons why we titled this video Breakdown to Breakthrough is because we're going to break down some astrology, and hopefully you can get some personal breakthroughs, and we're doing this for the collective. So once again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tapping in. Be sure to like this video if you haven't already. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And be sure to share this video on your social media platforms if you have not already. Peace, love, thank you, higher vibrations as we begin to go into this build and have this deeper conversation. Peace. So I got a question for the chat, since there's a couple of people in the chat. You know me, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. If you have not checked the website, please do so. I'm back to blogging. Oh yes, we're back to blogging. ColumbianExchange.com, that is where we sell all of our products and our wares. And we are most fortunate, me and my wife, we do the spiritual miracle as a full-time profession. And in the realms of doing this as a full-time profession, we would not do this if you guys did not support us and help us. So before I go any further, let me just say thank you for all of the help previously that you have sold into our business, into our life, into our family, into our children. You know, we really thank you for the past contributions. We thank you for the present contributions, and we thank you for the contributions for when you get your money in order, when things get in line with you, the contributions for which you give in the future, because ultimately this is a free service for which I'm providing, but I'm also providing applicable tips and also understanding of the sidereal placements of the astrological alignment. So quite simply, before anything and everything, if you could align with the sidereal astrological understanding and apply it into your world, you will receive benefits. Now, for me offering that to the collective, I'm hoping that, you know, if you utilize these tips and apply these energies and things work out well for you, you'll remember me on the back end, right? So that's why we say in the future, when you get your shit together, the Cash App and things of that nature will be in the description. And of course, always email me at hoodmystic@gmail.com. Now, I have a question for the chat. When we say self-love, right? When we say I'm loving myself and self-love, what is the self? And please put some questions in the chat so I can read some of these chats for the people who watch this video post live, and so we can get an idea of where the mindset is of the collective in referencing what is self-love. How do you love the self? Is it putting on makeup? Is it getting a new pair of shoes? You know, how can y'all describe or explain to me what is self-love? And or even more importantly, or even more specifically, what is the self that you are loving? Do you have an idea? Or is it just a term that you've seen on IG that has you tuned in and tapped into loving the abstract self? What self are you loving? Are you loving the physical self? Are you loving the spiritual self? Are you loving the whole entire self? Are you tuned in and tapped into the self? Well, what is the self? Because self-love, we know what that is. We hear about it all the time, right? And it's not a simple, and it's not a hard question. Because if I asked you what a cup is, you say the thing that you holding in your hand, the thing that you sipping from. So this is very important. We know what a cup is, but we don't know what the self is. It's like, well, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I'm not sure about that question. Can you reframe that question? No, what is a cup? What is the self? How do you love the cup? How do you love the soul? Oh, I gave the answer away, my fault. I love these answers. I love these answers. Let me go tie into more of what we'll be talking about in the shadow work course. The self, to be clear, is the soul. And understanding yourself as a multi-layered individual energy, you have your ego, your persona, you have your shadow, and all of these different parts represent the self. And the self is the soul, the Atman, the inner God. So when you love the self, you are loving the soul, and you're tuning in specifically to the soul, and whatever comes about that is your expression of self-love. This is why you might take a bath with your stinking ass, because when you tune into your soul, it's like, boy, oh boy, you stink. How are we going to manifest and attract and you got doodle crumbs in your butt? Let's take a bath first. Let's get the crust off your forehead. How do you get dust on your forehead? Are you a child? Right? You start taking a bath. But maybe if you're already clean and you tune into your soul, you might not need to take a bath. You might need to quit that job that does not value your time and value your energy as you can actually do within yourself. So it becomes to be a very personal question, but ultimately for the collective, loving the self is loving the soul, in reference to the conversation that I will be holding this Saturday. Of course, you can have different definitions. This is not a cup. This is a tumbler, right? You know, it could be many different things, but the ultimate reality of the self is to actually tune in to the non-physical you, the conscious you, the emotive you, the thinking you. See, none of these things have a physical framework to actually identify and pinpoint, but these things are real as an expression. However, how do you love your anger? How do you love your depression? How do you love trauma as a child? 10 times out of 10, we shun that energy. We sweep that under the rug. And so when we reference the astrology of how things played out over the weekend, things make a lot of sense. As just because you sweep shit under the rug doesn't mean that shit is no longer there. Sometimes you can walk and see that throw rug and a big lump under there, and everybody see that lump, but ain't nobody lifting under that rug to sweep up under it. So it's very, 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 very important to leave no rock unturned in reference to the sun transiting into sidereal Gemini. Because you can fool me 10 times out of 10, baby, but you can't fool yourself at all. And the real shit that you need to actually tune in and tap into isn't always beautifying yourself, isn't always doing the best thing for you. Because at the same time, no one lives in a vacuum and you are part of a collective. These things all tend to play out at the same time. So to make it easier, we tune in and tap into our soul for guidance as a buffer or barrier from this crazy ass world. And at the same time, it could seem as though we're the crazy one. So as we see, Mercury was retrograding this whole entire Mercury retrograde period. Very intense Mercury retrograde. And ultimately, Mercury as an element is quicksilver, meaning that it can go from liquid to hard. So in reference to the energies that have been coming up over these past 21 days, that represents a liquid energy. So you should not get excited about having water in your hand. You want to actually wait until you get a vase, or till you get a cup, or till you get a bowl or some placeholder for this particular energy, whether it's somebody from the past who's came through, an opportunity, a new car, a new house, all liquid situations. Because it's so interesting in reference to like other planetary things, such as a Saturn retrograde that is going to take place, and all of these particular things that are going to happen that's going to bring humanity back to the same places that they've been the past couple of years. But once the energy and the sun conjuncts into the energy of Sirius, and the summertime comes, we forget about our preparations for the harvest period. And we tap into a level of fun and enjoyment and a level of, oh, I need this. And then when the fall comes and the winter comes, everybody's caught by surprise. But when you tuned in and tapped into the cyclical natures of our personal planets, social planets, and transpersonal planets, you're more prepared for life because you understand the cycles of it. The overall understanding of just the general life is that life is just level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. I gotta do better. I gotta get more money. I gotta get a bigger house. I gotta get a nicer car. I gotta do more. I gotta do more. I gotta do more. But nobody tells you that this shit is a cycle. This shit is a flip. So when you tune in and tap into the reality of your cycle, the reality of your flip, the reality of your zero, the reality of you needing to start over, the reality that you need to develop a new mindset, a new understanding towards life, then it's never about your ascension more than it is to understand the cycles and know that, okay, it's good, I can start over. It's good, I can release. It's good, we can create a new program. We can create a new understanding. So as you take this liquid energy and form it into the physical, you also have other taints to the purity of the quicksilver. And what I'm explaining is going to be in reference to the moon energy in Libra. Because when you study astrology, it might be a fire over here, and water over here, and air over here, and earth over there. And as a magician, if you look at the magician card on the Rider-Waite Tarot card, you see a table and you see all of the elements to which you have to juggle and balance and understand all of these particular things. But at another level, it's not a matter of collection. It's not a matter of holding the most. And I know this might seem as though, yeah, well, duh, or whatever, dude. You just don't have it. You just don't have it all. So you're just creating different analogies and theories to life outside of you just need money. Enjoy. But then once you actually get the money, right? But you don't have the other intrinsic, tangible, valuable time, relationship keys that go along with money, you just another person that's going to be taken advantage of. So Mercury direct conjunct Aldebaran, we reference in Yod We Trust when Mercury first went direct. You can look at Hood in the Morning and Yod We Trust about 21 days ago, 3 Mondays ago. Tap into that video when we reference the meditation and the visualization that is going to take you throughout 2021. You tune in and tap into your solar plexus chakra, solar plexus chakra, subconscious mind, non-physical energy, information highway. The most important part of your being, tuning in and tapping into that as a meditation. The top of your solar plexus, the very top of your abdomen. It should be at least 4 to 8 rays moving like an infinity in and out of your solar plexus chakra. This is a meditation. Why do you want to tune into this meditation? Because if you tune into the external, you're going to be super confused. When you tune into the internal, at least you have a chance.
This is another Infosol production.
So in reference to this moon, in reference to Mercury going direct, I see it as though people are kicking and screaming from their actual purpose, when the reality is that you want to do the best thing for you. You don't want to fight this energy. And ultimately, you're fighting what's within you over what's outside of you. And that's kind of crazy if you really think about it. That's kind of weird if you think about it. Like, the things outside of me are more important than developing a dialogue and understanding my consciousness. To which, if you do not understand your consciousness, you are an automaton, you are a machine. That is scary to me, because 10 times out of 10, whatever a person is doing, they complaining about a situation that they are in and that they cannot get out of. To which you need to break down to your most spiritual essence, which comes from meditation, which comes from understanding, which comes from practice, which comes from not externalizing the world and imagining that this external reality of money, cash, hoes, shout out Jay-Z and DMX, is going to be your salvation, when the reality is inner peace, understanding, and then to stay in the realm of relationships and truth without compromise. And this is the next level of evolution. We're tearing down barriers and boundaries between the melanated man and woman, because we are no longer judging or wishing that our partner compromise. We are accepting our partner for their truth and loving them even more and protecting them because they're vulnerable with their truths. And we're not internalizing or taking their truths personal. We're understanding that our roles in relationships is not to judge our partners, but to understand ourselves. So real quick, we got the moon transiting through the Libra energy. So the Libra deals a lot with peace, deals a lot with heartbreak, and then overall resolutions, solutions, and things of that nature. Because we cannot change the past, nor can we put toothpaste back into the tube. So we look at our lives and we figure out, what the fuck can we do about it? We look at our relationships and we say, what the fuck can we do about it? I'm gonna give you a key. I'm gonna give you a solution. Be honest within your relationships. And you say, well, I've been single for the past up 10 years, this, that, and the third. Well, then if you are single, you need to start to be honest with yourself, because the people are in relationships, they wish they could be single. The people that are single wish they could be in relationships. That's just how life works. You will never be happy with the overall outcome. That's how we always have Aries energy, meaning that we wake up with an initiative or an initiation or a passion, to which if we knew all the answers, if we had everything that we ever could wish for, we would not have Aries, then we would cease to exist. So the ultimate point of life is to not know. So when we get into our relationships and we judge our partners, we're automatically assuming that we know the best, what's best for this soul in front of us, because they give us a little bit of vagina or give us a little bit of penis. But let's look at this very, very clearly. It's not my job to judge my wife. It's not my wife's job to judge me. It is my responsibility to tune in to myself. And this is my release. What is my wife's release? For her to tune into herself. And I know that truth in relationships seems like this is something that we do naturally. But let me say, if compromise is normal to you, you have not loved your partner. If you wish to compromise with them, if your partner says, from Friday to Sunday, I want to move to another house and live by myself, and you say, well, what about Saturday to Monday? Because my job is this, that, and the third. You doing your partner a disservice. You being selfish. If your partner say, hey, babe, I'm thinking about wearing lace pantyhose to sleep from now on. And you say, no, don't wear the lace. Wear the satin. I like the satin. You disrupting your partner's vibe and vibration. If she wanted to wear the lace, you need to let her wear the lace. It ain't about you. If she, the crazy shit, what would you do if your partner cut her hair? Say, that's a wonderful hairstyle, baby. Do you need some conditioner? Do you need me to, brush your edges to the side? What? I love your hair. I'm not here to judge you or rate you or compare you. Why is this very important? Because familiarity breeds contempt. And if we do not check that, we will end up hating the people that we love the most because we wanted to compromise instead of listen. We wanted to compromise instead of serve. We wanted to compromise instead of being happy. We wanted to compromise instead of being enjoy. Because what could you do for your partner? Nothing. Only reason that I know that is because I've attempted to do everything. Only to find out that I couldn't do nothing. That the responsibility for soul activation was not going to be a Kyrie only thing. It had to be a combination of both people doing the same thing, which was simply tuning into their respective souls as a priority, doing this shit prioritizingly. I'm trying to get that word smudged into the dictionary. Y'all just gonna have to give me a minute to work out the definitions and etymologies in relation to prioritizingly. Something like that. We're working on it. We're working out the kinks. So relationships ain't worth shit if they not honest. Relationships ain't worth shit if they built upon compromise and obligation. If you compromising, you disrupting that person's truth. You need to step out of that relationship kind of ASAP, real fast. Because life ain't about compromise more than it is about being in absolute bliss. And if I gotta compromise, then I cannot access bliss. It's that simple. And the kids and the job and the lifestyle and the this and the that, bliss is going out the window, out the door. Every single day you compromise and not live into your truth because of what a person bill is paying. A person paying a bill for you. Person providing you a place to stay. Now you gotta compromise. I get it, but that's your life. So let's move. The moon is a beast, the Libra energy is beast, and when we reference relationships, we're not always talking about our partners. Ultimately, as the sun transits into Gemini, we can see that partnership, ultimately, without a shadow of a doubt, is the relationship that we have with ourselves. So when you look at Gemini, it is a mental sign. But then when you look at Western astrology, they'll say that it's Cancer season, which is an emotional sign. So what I've noticed is that people have low mental acumen, which they compensate for high emotional variation. Just the overall energy of happiness is just going to dissuade me out of mental energy, or saying that a person has a nice car or a big booty. That's all emotion. It's not really referencing a mental understanding. Because a mental understanding has to be fully, like, you could tell me, oh, you don't need to date a girl like that. That's only gonna make me want to date that girl more, right? If you tell me what I can't do, that's the way of the mind. The mind doesn't get burned by fire. The mind doesn't get, you can't break the mind's leg, right? The mind is very flexible. It doesn't experience pain. It doesn't know about consequences. The mind just wants to know the totality of all experience. So in reference to the world, where infidelity is an issue of the world, right? For men and women, for all relationship genders, relationship statuses, people cheat on other people based upon the mind. The mind is going to say something irrational and illogical. What's the issue with that? We don't have the emotional competency and awareness, nor do we have the conversation with our partners to speak our truths. So when we don't do this, we create karma, we create friction, because we think and we act on different energies. So once again, in doing the shadow work, you bring your mind and your words into one place. And of course, it's uncomfortable. And of course, it makes people disturbed that a man is being honest about how he feels. But ultimately, I would rather be comfortable with what I'm saying versus being uncomfortable in my silence or fear for what you may think about me. So ultimately, you make decisions based upon how people think about you. But doing shadow work, you make decisions based upon your goddamn soul's truth. Now you tell me, which one do you want to rely on? People's acceptance of you, people's love for you, or your actual soul mission purpose out here in these streets? And the mind might say, oh, or like the consciousness or the basic level of understanding might say that is a bad thing. I should not do that thing because that will get me into trouble. But the deeper subconscious soul or the dark side or the shadow will say, I absolutely need to deep dive into that. I absolutely, without shadow of a doubt, am going to motorboat that ass. Right? And you're like, whoa, can't do that. No, motorboat, surfboard, like, what is going on? Because your truth. See, one thing about suppression is that it becomes more volatile the more you suppress it. So now you get to a point of 30, 40, 50 and reference your truth. Now this suppression has become very much like a caged dog. So my young people out there and things of that nature in relationships, before things get too deep, start being honest about your truth and don't seek to compromise more than you seek to get somebody that understands your truth unequivocally. Because if you have a level of compromise and you don't have a level of understanding, you do not have a level of happiness. You have a level of unhappiness. You have a level of stress. Where does this stress come from in Gemini? Because you're living a lie. And when you live a lie, it's more tied into Uranus, square Saturn, where you're awakening yourself to your karma. And Saturn and Capricorn wants you to be your best self. If you want to be your best self, you have to live in truth. And if you're not living in truth, you're not actually living in your best self with the best intentions, with doing the best for the external world, being the greatest employee, brother, lover, mother, son, dad, whatever. If you do not honor the soul, if you do not honor the darkness, none of the shit that you're going to do is even going to come close to a level of satisfaction and fulfillment. Because you're crazy, your unsociable habits and tendencies probably is more in alignment with the real you, more than your sociable, acceptable, false narrative that you say to make people say, oh, you a cool person, I like you. You want to go to dinner later? Cool, you paying. How many times you kick it with people and you end up coming out of pocket and you like, well, damn, I could do bad by myself. Meaning that it's very possible and very important that you seek energies and people that specifically pour into you, because the adverse of that is that they will take from you. Where you think that it's a balance, it ain't no balance. It's I'm gonna give to you or I'm gonna take from you. To which you either can choose a person that's going to specifically and as a priority give to you, or you can have somebody specifically or as a priority take for you. Because if they not saying what they specifically giving to you, they underneath manipulating and playing the background, taking shit from you wholesale. To which you then wondering, why do I feel this way? Why am I so sad? Well, if you got people around you that ain't saying this is why I'm here in your life, they just around you. Hey, you got some blunt? You got some weed? You drinking tonight? This is emotional awareness, this is stress, and this is understanding where it's coming from. All right, what can you deduce of where your stress is coming from if you was to take what I was saying with any grain of salt? I'll help you. All stress is coming from your ability to not connect to self, to not understand that you are specifically consciousness. You don't have consciousness, you don't buy consciousness, you don't look for consciousness, you don't develop consciousness, you are consciousness. You are the light within your body. You are the message that comes from, that enters out of the voice into the as a sound, as an action, consciousness is the fuel for the body, for life. And this is who you are. But once again, I'm not trying to make y'all feel like, you're crazy, or you're wrong, or you forgot some stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to provide content and information that fills a void, that fills a space. And in that, there comes to the realization, if you're honest enough, that spiritually I wasn't aware of all of the shit that I thought I was aware of. Even for me, as a speaker, as a professional in this area, I will never get in front of here and say, guess what, guys, I figured it out. I sometimes put myself at a certain disadvantage so I can understand the conversation, so I can understand what's happening. Because keep it a buck and keep it all the way real, I could have just been on my own personal success train out this motherfucker. And just living my best life. Like kids, huh? Family, who? It's all about me. But the mind is all. So, in reference to the things of Mercury retrograde, the mistakes are coming back. So, this is the tough shit in spirituality, because y'all will tune in to somebody talking about your sign and pulling a card and watching other videos and spiritual videos and things of that nature. What I'm saying is, you're using anything to abstract the fact of you fucking up. You want to tap into everything spiritual and every meditation and get every book and find every money ritual, as opposed to understanding what mistakes are you making in life? What practical, mental, logical missteps are you making? What could you possibly have overlooked within your relationship, because the moon is transiting through Libra into Scorpio, into Sagittarius, and as you really settle into the moon's conjunct Saturn and you focusing in on your best self, is your relationships in order? Is your passion and dedication in order? Or are you just saying shit of what you wish to accomplish and you ain't got no effort or no skin in the game? Because of course you may be the best soldier, the best fighter, but if your relationships ain't in order, then the moment that you get one step onto the field, your text message is going off. Hey, you forgot to bring me my pager. Pager? Which is 1992? What are you talking about? Pager? Yeah, I need you to go get me a pager. What do you mean? Yeah, I need you to go to Best Buy. I need you to go to Circuit City. Circuit City ain't even open. Yeah, find a Circuit City, go to Walmart and find me a pager. Cause you my homeboy. We friends. They don't even make pagers, bro. But bro, I need a favor from you. Man, I'm about to go play my game. I'm about to step on the field. Man, you could do that later. Look out for me. Right? And it's like, the saying would come, friends like that, you don't need enemies. You got people in your life that are holding you back and you too pussy to push them out of your life. Because you don't care about Saturn and Capricorn. You care more about making other people happy. You could reference the video that I did on the higher self in reference to Saturn and Capricorn, and understanding that your higher self does not give a fuck about your lower self, and your lower self is tied into making people happy because you feel insignificant within. So what then becomes the solution to this actual energy? Connecting to yourself. Silly. Duh. Connect to yourself. Because what's the assumption over these 12 moon cycles? That you got it all figured out. The partner that you chose was the right one. Even though you insecure in the space of maybe I shouldn't have chose this partner. You ain't talking about that part though. You just posted on IG. Look at me and Bay. We look cute together. We was on Father's Day eating crab legs and wing tips. No, steak tips and crab legs and wingdings. I know that shit was good. But are you sure you're with the person that you're really supposed to be with? In reference to the soul work that he's going to match or not match? Pause, rewind. A lot of y'all people be laid up with people that y'all can't even have a spiritual conversation with. You want to tune in and tap into a YouTube video to bring about a spiritual dialogue. And trust me, my content be getting shadow banned on YouTube, so good luck. You lucky you tuned in and tapped in at this particular point. So what's the solution? You got to develop spiritual conversations within your relationship, or else you just scared, or else you in fear. You afraid to tap in and tune in to your crazy, and you want your relationships to be null and void in reference to your spiritual path. Woo. Just a little wake up. When reality, it isn't. Your relationships are part of the astrological wheel. It's called Libra. It's a major part of it. Give me 1 second. I've been sitting here doing the most. It's real easy to submit to a truth and embrace a lie, because a lie is comfortable, and you don't have to do anything. You could just exist in the space of positive vibrations. Yeah, you'll be a punching bag. Yeah, you'll be a walking magnet to everything you don't want in life, but hey, people like you and there is no pressure. Except when you do have pressure, except when you can't sleep at night now. Except where you tossing and turning and all you want to do is argue with your partner. And no resolution is working, no conversation is working. It becomes a complete masquerade. And once again, we want to bring you into the solution of that masquerade, because within the relationship, let's talk about this. You're not tuned into yourself. You're tuned into that person to say that if he was to get a job, if he was to get more money, if she was to lose more weight, if she was to buy the Christian Louboutin heels instead of the Dior heels, maybe it would have just worked out a little better. When really, that's really idiocracy, when the fact is, if spirit and your soul brought y'all two together, then y'all have a purpose. And the point of life is to figure out that purpose. But if you're not tuned in and tapped into your soul, you don't give a fuck about that purpose. You care more about what your partner looks like, how much money they make, and then be tuned in and tapped into everything external about your partner. Never tuned in and tapped into you and what you are specifically bringing to the table. Because when we talk about what you're bringing to the table, you're triggered. But then have a complete and detailed list of what your partner should be and what your partner should not be. To which, what energy are you bringing forth? And that's it. So the energy that you're bringing forth, and that's it. And keep your fingers crossed that your partner is more concerned about the energy that they're bringing forth, and that's it. Otherwise, you in the whole realm of masquerading. I like you, but when you start on IG liking Instagram thotty pictures, I don't like you no more. I like you, but when you gain 20 pounds and you don't fit the image of my desired beauty queen, jet beauty king of the week, I don't like you no more. But then we say I love you, and then we walk down the aisle, sign paperwork with each other, and then be on some real surface shit with you. Well, I just don't like the way you look. Well, excuse me, fam. Before we walked down the aisle, brought our families here, had the reception, invested this money and all of this, maybe you should have had that sorted out beforehand, before doing all of this. Because that's the thing about physical attraction and physical beauty. If you don't know anything by looking at every single old person on the planet, that shit fades. Old people don't be hot to trot out here in these streets, but they be having something much deeper than physical attraction. So really, as young people, we gotta really tap into what's truly crazy. So we got to tie into the spiritual community and the spiritual desires and the overall lust for result in reference to your spiritual practices. You want something so bad and you ain't getting it. What do that make you feel? Crazy? Because you done spent all of this money, invested all of this time in reference to something that you wanted externally. But the irony, let's get into the irony of this shit. You could have had that plus 10 if you would have just connected with to your soul. If you would have valued you as a spiritual being, as opposed to paying the root worker, the tarot reader, the astrologer to help you get to something that you want, when tying into your energy and becoming the magnet. That's the irony. You could have got it, or you can still get it by tuning into yourself. You thinking that somebody can get it for you when all these people is out here trying to get it for themselves. But hopefully you got enough value of yourself to say, no, I'm out here trying to get it, fam. I got 4 children and a wife, and I'm in flux right now. I'm trying to figure this shit out. Like, I'm really out here trying to get it for myself. That's why I'm providing things of high value that I think you might want or need. And if you don't, fine. I'm out here on my hunter shit. And if you ain't trying to support the cause still continues. The belly still rumble, fam. So however this goes, however this cookie crumbles, is going to get ate. So, if you are following me in reference to the mind, in reference with, so what do you get from connecting to the soul? The equation is you plus soul equates to new outlooks. The new outlook would be the new one. What's the most important number on the number scale? 1. It's not 1 million. It's not 10 million. It's not 100 million. The most esoteric secret known to man is very simple. Less is more. So the less barriers you have to your soul, the more outcomes you can have. Because maybe, just maybe, you got to start an OnlyFans. But your partner would not approve of you starting an OnlyFans, but your soul is saying, twerk, 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 twerk. Right? And I'm telling you, if your shadow is telling you to start an OnlyFans, you might as well do it. And if your partner is saying, that's a bad idea to start it, you're going to ruin your reputation. What are people going to say when you get older and this, that, and the third? But your soul is saying, start an OnlyFans. And you go to sleep and you just be thinking of OnlyFans. And when your partner tell you don't start an OnlyFans, that shit piss you off. Oh, your shadow is talking to you. Now, are you going to listen to your partner who don't have your best interest at heart? She has her or his best interest at heart, not yours. See, that's the thing about relationships. I could never have my wife's best interest at heart. She can never have my best interest at heart. And if I project that on her, if she projects that on me, we are at odds. Because once again, what is the solution within a relationship? It is for both partners to connect to their souls individually and say, my soul brings me to you in this present moment, and I feel honored because of our alignment. Not, well, you need to get your money up, nigga. You ain't making this, that, and the third, and this, that, and the third, and you gotta buy me this, and you gotta take me here, and if you don't spend $200 on a date, you is not getting none of this cake. Just realizing I had more notes than I thought I did have. I thought I only had a little bit of notes. Come to find out I had a lot of notes, so we're here. Let's tap back into this moon energy. So real quick, the moon transit in Libra over the weekend as we prepare for a full moon in the energies of Ophiuchus. The ability to speak truth and power into our relationships which will then, because we can see the moon oppose Uranus. So the moon opposed Uranus in the energy of Aries is the great awakener or great initiator of what needs to take place in our relationships. Now this is a triple square with Saturn. So this puts a lot of karma or a lot of pressure on our decision making, to which we might have to make a decision that we feel uncomfortable making, but ultimately we know that it is not even the best thing to do. It's a relation to, do we want to create karma or do we want to live on our right path? And if you want to live on your right path, you make the tough decision and you release yourself from whatever suffering you are putting yourself through. What makes this easier than harder? When you imagine that you know everything and that you got it all under control, and then things start going haywire and flipsy tipsy and topsy turvy, and you're like, well, my ego cannot handle things going bad. You realize that it is your ego that is creating the stress and drama, and that is creating the suffering ultimately. To which, when you release from these things, you are free from the suffering and you're tapped into the 2021 magical love, sex, ecstasy portal. And I'm telling you, the energies on the outside of the fringe is crazy now. Like, you might run into a real life fairy out here in these streets. Like, a lot of people is in the house, a lot of people not really out and about. And then it's like the people that are, like, it's a lot of spiritual energy out. But the idea is that you're not going on the lust to just get it. You're going in there like, man, the work that I've been done, the energy that I represent, I'm just a beacon for that. So I'm just out and enjoying myself, living and loving life in my spiritual beingness, and then I'm watching myself be a magnet to my desires. So I'm at the club and buying me drinks, right? I'm the center of attention, and it's not like I'm looking for this attention. I'm just there in my spiritual energy, and it's just different. Let's break down to breakthrough. A breakdown is when you have exhausted every option and you have no choice but to accept the fact that you are powerless to create the outcome you want. The interesting thing, or the irony, is that a breakthrough has the same definition. So we don't have any options that we're looking for. We don't have any solutions. We don't have any hot game. Best thing that I can do for y'all is tune into my soul. Somebody might come to you and say, Hood, or Lisa, or James, or Jeff, or whatever your name is. They say, hey man, I need a miracle. I need a favor bad, man. I need 20, man. It's bad for me, man. I just need They come with that stress. I want you to stand back and say, boy, oh boy, you disconnected. You real disconnected right now. And they gonna look at you like, what? I ain't disconnected, man. I just need $20, man. I just need to, I'm stressed. I need Say, no, you disconnected. Let's take a moment or two to get connected. And they say, how we gonna do that? I say, hey man, wait a second. There is millions of miracles taking place within you right now. Just peer into yourself for a second or two. See the heartbeat and the blood vessels and the cells and everything moving within you. This is all miracles of biological genius that you are a part of every moment. And by understanding yourself from this root level, when you break yourself down to the spiritual being, having a human experience, that is the solution. That is the emotion. That is the mentality. Because from nothing, I am something. I'm a non-physical being in control of a whole body, in control of a whole consciousness, and the mind is all. So tuning into your soul, it's a double fold to it. Of course, you change your personal life, but you change the world because you begin to see a different world. Because your mind is different. And I'm going to give you another example to show you that I'm not lying. You know the shit that you were stressing over 2 months ago that you're not stressing over about. Well, I used to be like that until I got into a state of perpetual stress-free living. And now I'm in a place where I can understand stress and see stress and simply identify that person as just simply being disconnected from their source. Will I be able to connect a person to their source ever in life? I'll never be able to do that. So I can't do nothing for you for real, besides tell you that you need to connect to your source as a priority. Because when you break down, you will have your breakthroughs. And you will move from your problem to which is not even a problem, that you would even think that, damn, I was focusing on it and I was creating a problem just because I had no other recourse. I just didn't know what else to do. In situations, I get a relationship and I just look for an issue. I get a job and I look for an issue. I get a car and I look for an issue. I move and I look for an issue. Why I keep looking for issues and shit? Because you don't know what to do. You don't know that. It's not an external thing that you're going to get that's going to bring satisfaction, that's going to bring nirvana, and that's going to bring bliss. These are a relationship of reducing your stress and stress response system. And trust me, this is something that I've actually worked through to where I can go around my family, like my wife can attest, and I can identify and see things. And I'm just like, wow, that used to be me not too long ago. Not too long ago. So there is hope. But there are some things that we got to talk about. So let's deal with this copy, and I'll send y'all about on your day. So one more slide, and we'll end this video. Sorry about that. I was just reading this. So as y'all can see, Keely B says on here that it's going to be a bestseller. You got to get this book. I've been taking my time to really tap in and focus on aligning my energy while reading through this book. And yeah, it's a delay. So at some point it'll match up. Okay. So, I really do believe that this is going to be a bestseller. But it's very important for me and everybody who has this book to just not let this book collect us. Right? So when she says, you got to get this book, I've been taking my time to really tap in and focus on aligning my energy while reading through this book. So it's not to say that you're just going to read the book and your chakras are going to be aligned. You have to actually tune in and tap in to you, your notes, your understanding. This is a full encompassing understand of yourself and how you are the book and how you manage and deal with your emotions, how you manage and deal with the fact of your connectedness. And one, chakras are hard to understand. Two, chakras are not what people say on the internet through memes. Three, you have to be patient with yourself. Four, you have to take your time with this work. Because your chakras aren't something that I've created or invented. These are things that exist in the lexicon of esoteric studies, but they're hard to really understand how to activate them within ourselves. So if you're not activating your root chakra, if you're not balancing your emotions, if you're not tapped into your will, then you probably don't understand it. And we can stay here and we can study this and we can go over it and over it and over it and over it till you get it. Because it's not about me, it's about you. These are essential qualities to a spiritual life, where you're tapped into spiritual concepts that are tapped into your body. So you become the spiritual being having the human experience. So the overall understanding and gift that you have of being a psychic is not something that somebody has given you. It is something that you have developed. So when you're in situations, you fully understand and navigate as a spiritual person, as a psychic, other than just being scared. I'm so scared of what might can happen. And let that be your whole life. Afraid of what was inevitable. And it sounds crazy, but it's a lot of people who are just afraid. Just afraid. They wake up afraid and go to sleep afraid. And they look for the solution outside of themselves and they never find it, family. They really searching for it outside of themselves and it's just not there. But if you say you love yourself, if you say you want to know yourself, we got the tools.